Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. The disappointing ending should not overstate what this team did all season. And also, I said it with Arizona. Sometimes you just lose to a team that isn't going to lose that night. And so first of all, with BYU, could the three-point defense have been better? Sure. But when Alabama literally sets an NCAA tournament record, when Alabama takes 55 three-pointers and makes 25 of them, nobody's beating them. Tell you a true story. Our Torres survivor pool, I'll just tell you, my wife had BYU tonight. And her sister are in a group chat. And I said, the Golden State Warriors could not have beaten Alabama with the way they were shooting three-pointers tonight. So one, if you're a BYU fan, sometimes you just run into a better team. It happens. It happened to Arizona. Duke was just a better team. There's nothing you could do. Again, you go back to the opening round of the NCAA tournament. McNeese, great opening win. Purdue was just a better team. There's nothing you could do about it. You don't have to be sad. You could be sad that it's over, but don't feel like you left something on the floor because you didn't. And I think with this BYU thing, it's an incredible story that we are going to keep monitoring. And I think it's an incredible story because of where it started, where it went to, where it got to, but then what's next, okay? Because you think about this BYU story, again, started last summer. This guy, Kevin Young, gets the job. Nobody knows anything about him. April 15th, he got that job. Puts together this unbelievable roster late April, early May. I think Egor Demin committed mid-May, late May, something like that. I can't even remember, okay? And so he puts together this roster. And November, December, January weren't always great. It's funny, the out-of-conference schedule really didn't amount to much. I think I mentioned this, but when I was at BYU, like Kevin Young basically acknowledged, I didn't know how to schedule. So, yeah, we learned nothing about our team in the out-of-conference. By the way, producer Matt confirms Egor Demin didn't technically sign with BYU until the 17th of June. So, I mean, you talk about a guy putting together a roster in the late. Think about how much has already happened in the portal. Kevin Young didn't even get the job for another 3 weeks, didn't sign Egor Demin from basically 3 months until now, okay? But you put together this roster. There's so much excitement. Out-of-conference teaches you nothing. Then you start 2-4 in the Big 12, 11-6. And listen, I go on all the radio shows. I love going on with my buddy Ben Criddle, his producer Ron Weaver. And it was like, what's the problem with BYU? Did we oversell this? Torres, you liked him in the and I'm not criticizing Ben and Ron. I love those guys. But I'm just saying, like, there was talk of like, why did we get so excited about this team? And then you start to figure it out. You start to get wins. I was at the Kansas game, but even after that 30-point win over Kansas, we've talked about it. It was more about, well, Kansas kind of stinks. What's wrong with Kansas? Even BYU fans, I love you guys. But you were like, it's a great win, but, we'll see what happens from here. Then you go to Arizona. You're like, oh, this is sort of getting interesting. Then you go to Iowa State. Oh, we're actually might be good. Then all of a sudden, you're on an 8-game winning streak going to the Big 12 tournament. You beat Iowa State. You get the 4 seed. You lose to Houston. Guess what? Everybody's going to lose to Houston at some point. And it's like, what else is there to say? Like, you get to the Sweet 16, you run into a better team, and now the excitement's here, people. AJ Dybantsa, listen, I'm not trying to rush you into the offseason. I'm not trying to rush you into the 2025-2026 season, but you have to be excited about the future of this program, right? AJ Dybantsa, #1 high school player in America, was in attendance in Newark on Thursday night. That guy's a BYU Cougar. He was there wearing BYU gear. There's no, we hope. No. There's no hope. He's there. He's committed. He's enrolling very soon. His high school season's about to be over in like the next week or two. He's going to be in Provo. So you have AJ Dybantsa. And now what I will say, I'm not trying to, again, rush the regular season, rush us out of this season or not kind of give a post-mortem. But I do think there is reason for excitement if you were a BYU fan, okay? Because if you're a BYU fan, think about the potential that could be around him. First of all, let me say this. I thought that the Egor Demin going to the NBA thing was just done. Like, I didn't think there was really anything to discuss about it. But I thought it was interesting. Jim Jackson, who I think is unbelievable. Jim's a good friend of mine. He was on the call for this BYU Alabama game. He's like, if Yegor's not a top 15 pick, maybe he should come back. And I didn't think that was something that was even in the cards. But Jim Jackson was around this team more recently than I was the last couple of days, and he at least mentioned it. And he said, you don't have to rush. You can make money as a college player. You don't have to rush to the pros if you're not ready. Could Egor Demin come back? I don't know. By the way, he was asked about it after the game. Producer Matt, we have the sound, right? All right, so here is Egor Demin talking about. I don't think he's coming back, but he certainly did not close the door. Let's listen to Egor Demin after this game.
I think this is a huge thing for BYU. I think this is the start of something really beautiful. And as we know, AJ is coming, and he could be one of the reasons why I want to be back next year. And it's KY is an amazing guy, and I'm super grateful for everything he did. And the thing I can say is my decision earlier in the summer, coming here, it wasn't a mistake at all. So, and I'm super proud of my family who helped me to make this decision, and for everything we've done with coaching stuff and with this, as I already said, with our guys.
First of all, that's my guy Spencer Linton from BYU TV, right at the forefront, right getting the Q&A there. By the way, I apologize. I think my internet's going in and out here, so I apologize if my video is not very good right now. Again, late night. I think my neighbors are trying to cut my internet so I can go to bed, leave everybody alone. But that video, by the way, was from Ron Weaver from the radio station. Love Ron, the three-man Weaver. But I didn't think Egor Demin was considering coming back, but he said, I want to play with AJ. Be a reason for me to think about it. Now, do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. Do I think it's 0%? Apparently not. By the way, I think Richie Saunders has a very tough decision to make. He's going to be a millionaire playing college basketball next year. Now, I don't know, older player. We know he's going to be a 4th, 5th, 6-year senior, whatever it's going to be. I don't know what his mission situation was, but if he doesn't want to, he could be a 2nd-round pick, maybe, or he can come back and be an All-American potentially next year. And so you have AJ Dybantsa, maybe Richie Saunders, maybe Egor Demin. By the way, my guy Keita, everybody loves Keita. He's America's sweetheart. Producer Matt loves Keita. My buddy at Fox Sports Radio, Brandon, who became a BYU diehard over the course of the season, thanks to me, loves Keita. Keita's coming back. We'll see with Cannon Catching. Does he go pro? Does he transfer? Does he whatever? But AJ Dybantsa's coming in. Egor Demin could be back. Richie Saunders could be back. By the way, Xavier Staten could potentially come back. So you look at this team, and all of a sudden, there's some very interesting pieces for next year. By the way, Dallin Hall, who played very well at points this year, averaged 7 points per game, could be back. And so now all of a sudden, listen, by the way, I saw this little thing from ESPN. Oh, they're the future of college. But we were saying this on this podcast 5 weeks ago. We were saying this, whatever. But the thing I keep going back to is everything that I saw, everything that I learned when I was in Provo. And that was this. And I go back to what somebody told me when I was there. They said to themselves, why can't we be an April program? Why can't we be a team that plays into late April or early April, late into the tournament? Just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean that it can't. Oh, by the way, Kevin Young says it. He said it on this show. It's not hypothetical. I can coach this game. I can coach it at a high level. And when you factor in that BYU has the NIL money, they have the resources, they have the coaching staff clearly, this team is not going anywhere. I'm so curious. Listen, I'll say this. I'm so curious what they do with AJ Dybantsa this offseason. I don't know what the plan is. I haven't talked to anybody. I would assume they probably need a 4-man to play alongside Keita and Richie Saunders. I'm curious who becomes available in the next couple weeks. A lot of buzz about Yaxel Lendenberg from UAB, basically an All-American type player that could go pro, could go in the portal. But I think they're going to need a stretch 4. Maybe somebody that we don't know that's not in the portal yet. I'm just throwing out Yaxel Lendenberg because I've seen a million people, every fan base. He's like one of these guys, every fan base in America wants him. Now, he could go pro. He could stay at UAB. He could go to any fan base in America if he wants to. But I just bring it up because I think you get a stretch 4. I will be curious what else they do. I would assume, if you don't have Egor Demin, you probably have to go ahead and find somebody else. Probably have to find somebody else to fill that point guard role. But I'm just here to say, man, there's no ceiling to this program. And I think if you're a BYU fan, I know how frustrating tonight is, but I also just think, you know what? Best is yet to come. If you're a BYU fan, tonight is frustrating, but the best is yet to come.